BT9 Breakdown Part 3. I'm diving into yellow cards to see what BT9 offers and how it'll potentially affect yellow hybrid. Everyone's favorite matchup to play against. Again, if a Digimon has X antibody, I'll simply be referring to it as X. And likewise, I won't be covering too much on the separate Digivolution cost because we know that it'll be cheaper when digivolving from its normal counterpart. And if you enjoy these types of videos, do consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for more of my future content. Tokomon X will be the yellow baby Digimon of the set, and funny enough, the first X antibody related baby. This Digimon did make an appearance in the X antibody movie, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend it. Great storytelling with some Beast Wars looking CGI, but it's only in Japanese. Sorry English folks, there's no English dub. Tokomon X's effect is quite simple. Your turn, once per turn, if a card is added to your security stack, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1000 DP. It's not terrible, but I always love cards that draw cards when it comes to yellow. Cupimon and Upamon will always be my favorites to go to. Tokomon X feels subpar to me for the fact that even though the majority of yellow decks do security recovery, minus 1000 doesn't really do anything. Could be useful, but it might not be useful. I don't know. But moving to rookies, Toy Agumon is again that generic 3000 DP body that costs 2 memory. It's great for sealed, and without color restrictions, fairly easy to use. But Pillowmon is the real interest here for me. Pillowmon is introduced as the next floodgate. You have memory blockers, you have memory reducing blockers, you have play cost reduction blockers, and players can't ignore Digivolution requirement blockers. Now, we have Digimon can't be played by card effects. Diaboromon decks? Nope. Eosmon decks? Goodbye. Imperial Dramon decks? Get out. Ophanimon? Haha, you wish. Pillowmon can easily be handled, but that's another step for these decks to take. This is one card I'll highly value depending on how the meta shapes up. Salamon X on initial read feels like Lotmon, but is actually much better if you climb off of a Salamon. This card will have some consistency to other yellow decks, especially if the entire bottom Digivolution line becomes Salamon. And believe me, there are quite enough of them to do this. When digivolving, look at your top security. You may add it to your hand, and if you do, recovery +1. I feel yellow hybrid may potentially benefit from this as well, as they'll know whether to pull the top and reset it. And Ophanimon Fall Down mode makes for potential extra security recovery on its deletion. Starmon becomes another generic level 4 Digimon for sealed. Unfortunately, not all Digimon get to have an awesome X evolution and or inheritable. This guy is simply vanilla and cheap. Gatomon X Antibody, a Digimon with the inheritable of one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2000 DP if you have 3 or more security. Again, it's not terrible, but with yellow hybrid still running rampant, I don't feel this adds much to the yellow hybrid scene. But looking at other Gatomons, this does potentially shoot for minus 3000 DP with BT3 Gatomon, or minus 4000 DP on one Digimon with EX1 Gatomon. Combined with Yellow War Greymon, maybe it can do something? That's a lot of DP depletion. This takes us to Gatomon's Armored Digivolution, Nefertimon. You can go into it from a Gatomon for 0. But its stat line and offensive capability feels very low. In addition, you can't combine this with Gatomon X Antibody for the fact that it's not a standalone Gatomon, meaning at most you'll DP deplete 4000 again with EX1 Gatomon and this Digimon. Angewomon X is the sole pure yellow level 5 Digimon. Until the end of your opponent's turn when digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets security attack -1. Then if you have a Digimon with Angewomon or X Antibody in its name, recovery +1 if you have 5 or fewer security. In combination with Angewomon from the starter deck, like the really old starter deck, that's an easy +2 security back if you have 3 or fewer security. And with the fact that it's an angel, it's still searchable off of starter deck 10 Gatomon and a few other cards. Finally, Magnadramon X with the Digivolution cost of 1 from Magnadramon or 4 cost to digivolve into. Is it unfair for me to say that I honestly don't see this seeing much play? It does DP depletion based on the amount of security you have for all of your opponent's Digimon. Stat-wise it's alright, But unless you're playing Yellow Hybrid, I rarely see security get up that high. And even then, they run Ophanimon over Magnadramon. With that, the last card is the Awakening of the Gold Digizoid. This lets you Digivolve any armored Digimon into a Digimon with Magnamon in its name, ignoring the requirements, and without paying its memory cost. The Digimon can't be affected by your opponent's card effects, or have its DP reduced. This is the second card that allows your Digimon to not be affected. The first being Mother D-Reaper, which allows you to dodge even Chaos Degradation. But we won't be done with Yellow without the promo that is included potentially in your box with Boutmon, a level 5 Digimon that on your turn lets you trash up to 3 cards from the top of your security stack, in that you can reduce the Digivolution cost of climbing to a Shaman or Wizard type Digimon by 1 for each one. But why? What makes this so awesome? The inheritable is, when attacking, if you have 3 or fewer security cards, unsuspend this Digimon. Your targets for this ultimate level Digimon are Sakuyamon, either from BT5 or EX2, Kazuchimon, or Junomon. And honestly, Kazuchimon is the best target for this Digimon. By using Boutmon's effect, you can potentially put yourself to 0 security if you only had 3, and then climb back up with Kazuchimon and then gain 2 additional memory. This is a neat little combat trick that can potentially check for 4 total security, assuming you don't get deleted on any of them. Although this video will be much shorter than red and blue. A majority of the yellow cards are all mixed colors, such as Magnamon X and even Rise Greymon. These cards all have alternate art cards, but that will be covered in the last video. In general, I feel pure yellow decks have lackluster support for this set. And even looking at DigimonMeta.com for yellow decks, a majority of them are still Yellow Hybrid. What are your thoughts on pure yellow cards for this set? Do you feel they add a lot, or nothing really at all? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the follow-up video featuring green, because green is about to get crazy. This is Digi-Panda, logging out.